Another global panoramic on the way. That is what some people are saying with regards to what's happening with the Mpox virus in other parts of the world. If you guys haven't been keeping up or hearing the news, could the new Mpox threat cause significant harm in the U.S.? Could the new Mpox threat cause significant harm? Now, folks are naturally going to be apprehensive to this, right? Because of what we saw happen with the last panoramic, with folks not just being told to hunker down and stay in their houses, not just told that they can't go to work, not just businesses completely falling apart and having to shut their doors because everything locked down, while countries like Sweden didn't lock down at all and had virtually similar results that we did, while places like Florida didn't lock down like California and had virtually similar results that we did when it comes to per capita deletions. People are rightfully concerned about another potential panoramic, okay? And there's also the reality of people being told that they may have to get a certain, and if they don't get a certain, they might lose their job. At the very least, lose their social standing within certain circles.
If they don't get a jab, they lose their job.
Jab and job.
Boo, Zach. That sucked.
I thought you were going to go into an Eminem cadence. All right. An apparently more dangerous strain of the Mpox virus is circulating rapidly in a number of countries, with the first reported case outside of Africa reported this week in Sweden. And Sweden last time didn't lock down at all, so they're not going to give a crap about any of this stuff. Yeah, Sweden didn't lock. That's what I just said. Sweden didn't lock down, and nothing happened. I mean, not nothing happened, but they had very normal, comparable situation to what was happening here. As concerns about a type of Mpox spreading across Africa is believed to cause more serious illness, infectious disease, experts express cautious optimism that this branch of the virus would not be spread as broadly in the U.S. or cause health impacts. Now, guys, remember when this thing first came out? You remember who was mainly getting affected by this?
Mpox?
Do you remember?
Yes.
Who?
The LGBT community.
And they were not happy.
And they were not.
Because they were like, there's
yeah.
There's a phobia.
You're like, I don't know what to tell you.
The math is the math.
You're statistically more at, I'm not kissing dudes.
Well, the issue now is that it's not just LGBT folks. The issue now is this is now spreading differently, and it's also more deadly. Okay.
Thanks.
The risk of this subtype of Mpox in the U.S. could be mitigated by a number of factors, including immunity from.
Yeah. Right out the gate.
Right out the gate, man. In previous infections from the outbreak of a different variant that began in 2022. That's the last one I was talking about. Okay. The lack of viral circulation in wild animals and better healthcare access, living standards, and public health. On Wednesday, the World Health Organization, which, by the way, has a terrible reputation in light of the last 2020 panoramic, formerly, so they renamed it, they rebranded it as a public health emergency of international concern. Okay, so hold on for a second. Media is saying cautious optimism. The WHO is saying emergency of international concern?
Yeah.
Sounds like the left hand's not telling the right hand what's going on here.
Hey-o.
And it's an election year. Don't know you're jumping too far ahead, but this was in response to a large ongoing outbreak of Clade. That sounds like a AI platform.
Clade 1.
Clade 1. Clade is an evolutionary branch in the Democratic Republic of Congo that has spread to other African nations. Sweden announced the first Clade 1 case outside of Africa on Thursday. How did it get to Sweden?
That's crazy.
It was only a matter of time before we saw this extend beyond the African continent. Infectious disease specialist at Emory University said in a statement issued Friday, Dr. Pamela Rindy Wagner, director of the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, said the agency had increased the risk level of Clade 1 to the generational European population from very low to low.
That's anticlimactic if I've ever heard it.
Due to the close links between Europe and Africa, we must be prepared for more imported Clade cases. The CDC confirmed on Friday that there have been no reported cases of Clade 1 in the United States today. Clade 1 is generally considered more transmissible and more severe than Clade 2, which drove the global Mpox outbreak in August and had a death rate of 0.2%. So not even
not even
a percent. This sounds a lot like the last panoramic. Immunocompromised people, in particular those with untreated advanced, I'm not going to say that, but you guys all know what the VHI acronym is, have been the greatest risk of severe disease hospitalizations and death from Clade 2. The U.S. consensus continues on so level 2 transmission. Okay, so the WHO has a bad reputation. You have it's spreading beyond just the continent of Africa. You have already introductions of a mandated, potentially, vaccine, right? And that was really the issue with the last one, was that people more or less felt forced to inject themselves with something that they weren't comfortable with. And some people, including frontline doctors, even lost their jobs or were at the risk of having their jobs lost.
Yikes.
So people are saying, hey, it's an election year. This definitely feels like a repeat of the same type of situation. Who knows what's going to happen come November, getting people out to vote, so on and so forth, right? I think from one standpoint, this comes off like a big nothing burger.
Okay.
From one standpoint. This comes off like, probably nothing serious.
Yeah.
You know? From another standpoint, are they testing the waters to see what people are comfortable with? How much? Because if this is a nothing burger, the way this is presented in the posing of these headlines definitely comes off like there could be something here.
Another global pandemic. The whole thing.
Right. And I don't think America, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but the American paradigm, I don't think could handle another pandemic.
Yeah. What do you mean by handle? Like, what would the response be? Is what you're alluding to.
I don't think people are going into their houses for a few weeks to let the curve
flatten the curve.
I don't think that's happening this time.
That's true. I do wonder if that changes with Mpox having such a visual element. Because you know how the vid, you kind of walk around and be like, oh, you got a cold. But Mpox got the daggone blisters all over people's faces. Crazy. And I saw some crazy images that
just looking up
just
for
looking
this
it
video.
up. Someone's nose rotting. I won't get into much detail. Insane. So I wonder if the fear of that would be big enough to get people to like lock in again. But overall, I agree with that. Like, people are way too rebellious now since that last one to be like, I'm locking in at home and following the orders.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now, people will then connect this, the WHO, to who? See what I did there?
Hey.
World Economic Forum.
Uh-oh.
The presenting of ideas like you will own nothing and love it. You will lease everything. You will be able to live a simpler life. We're going to get everybody off of meat because meat hurts the environment.
For sure. And
farming hurts the environment.
Yep.
So we're going to have you guys eating Impossible burgers, which, by the way, are banned in most places in Europe now. We're going to have you, Cap Chatfield pointed out the advocacy of eating bugs, right? And that's like the Charles Schwabs and the George Soros, or some overlap there.
That's what you do when your plane crashes on a deserted island and you're like trying to survive for the first couple of nights before you caught some fish.
Yeah.
You gotta eat some bugs.
And let me just say this. I think the people that are presenting this stuff I think they think they mean well. Like, I think they believe that what they're driving is actually good for people. I think the issue is they're so deceived by much of the alarmism that's happening with everything from the climate alarmism to the alarmism about wealth inequality, which is a real thing, right? That in their attempt to try and make the world more egalitarian and less competitive and less capitalistic, they are then overcorrecting. A lot of these folks are billionaires themselves. They're elites themselves. So they're trying to mitigate and cause good things to happen without understanding that that's not your job. Your role is not to try and cause good things to happen. The government is not, in my opinion, designed to cause human flourishing.
Yeah.
The government is designed, according to Jeremiah chapter 22 and Romans chapter 13, which you guys should all go read. The government's role is to suppress evil. It's to suppress the wrongdoer, not to try and usher in a utopia. So then you're like, you got to do these things, and you got to, not consume these products and consume these other products and take this injection. And I just don't think that these things are ultimately going to get them the results they want. And I think you're going to see people revolt against these sorts of things.
So you getting an Mpox vaccine
No.
or jab? Sorry.
No. I don't plan on it.
You don't.
How about you?
No. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I feel, you know, part of me feels grateful that I got the first one the first time around, because then I got it and it wasn't like awful. Like I didn't have it for more than 5 days. But then in hindsight, I'm like, I feel a little bamboozled, you know. I think it's exactly what you're saying. You know, the American public is not going to put up with this again the same way they did the first time. So everyone that was like, I'm skeptical, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, like myself, is now like, nah, you have no clue what you guys are doing. I don't care what you got. Like, if it actually was so bad, like, let's say it was a bona fide, not even just like a vid, like a vid. It was like a bona fide situation. I would just move to the sticks. But I'm definitely not getting something that like we can go stream in Borrego. You know what I'm saying? like we'll just drive an hour out into the desert, kind of hunker down on a compound and quarantine. I would rather, like, if it was a real thing, quarantine before putting something in my body that the government made.
I think that's fair. I think the issue is forcing people against their will.
100%.
I don't think that's helpful, nor do I think that's good.
Why you care about streaming? No, I care about providing for my family while there's a global pandemic. What are you talking about? I was like, this is what I do. This is how my kid eats.
Maximilian thinks this is like a hobby or something we do on the side.
Yeah. Like, man, like, you're not gonna get out in the field and start and become a nurse. Like, no, what? No, I'm going to protect my family and stream.
Hey, Max, you know how like some people like stream video games on the side?
Yeah.
That's not what this is.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that's not what this is. I appreciate you watching, but
my name's not even on the channel. That feeds my kids.
That's not what this is. I just want you to know that. All right. So and if the goal of the government is not to do fill in the blank, try and cause utopia, try and fix things, I believe that means that there is a moral imperative for the church to do good. I was listening to the Audible book called The Mission of God, and it was really good. And they said, God's mission is not designed for the church. The church is designed for God's mission. God has a mission that he wants to see happen on this earth, and we get to get in on that. God didn't create the mission for us. We're created for his mission, which is ultimately to redeem people to himself, to usher in goodness and beauty. And I think the more we understand that, the more then we can get on mission instead of trying to figure out what is our mission.
Yeah.
And that, again, becomes a healthy paradigm shift. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys concerned about this sort of thing? Do you think, are they doing it again? Drop a comment in the chat. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Comment down below and let me know what you think. And be sure to check out this video that YouTube is recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.